We are grateful that Maharaj accepted our request. Maharaj was at NVCC and he traveled all the way early in the morning, and we are getting his association and blessings this way. We are very, very grateful to Maharaj. A short introduction of Maharaj I would like to give. Maharaj joined the ISKCON in New York City in 1973 and later on moved to New Vrindavan to serve at the farm and the community there in West Virginia. Maharaj received the initiation from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada in 1973. In 1986, he accepted the sannyas order and began preaching in Cincinnati and Columbus, Ohio. In the early 1990s, Maharaj was involved with ISKCON prison ministries in America, and Maharaj regularly visits the inmates, holds programs for them, guides devotees who are involved with prison preaching. Maharaj has written books on this subject. In 1995, he began serving as the resident sannyasi in Chicago, where he is based even today. At present, Candramauli Swami Maharaj preaches in America, India, Western Europe, Slovenia, Croatia, Italy, and the UK. Maharaj is also serving as an initiating spiritual master in ISKCON. So let us welcome His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj. Ali Maharaj, we were waiting for you for the Guru Puja so that we could have danced with you, but somehow Yugal Shyam Prabhu said it's going to take us time to bring you here. Yeah, I'm blaming him only, Maharaj. All devotees were expecting that we'll get to dance with you, but maybe that remains for the next visit, Maharaj. Oh, we can have dancing Bhagavatam class, Maharaj. Let us welcome His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj by one time chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. कृष्ण भागवतम क्लास इंग्लिश में होगा, जिसको हिंदी में सुनना है उसका अनुवाद 108 FM पे उसका अनुवाद होगा, तो आपके फोन्स और हेडफोन्स निकाल के आप सुन सकते हैं. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna, Jai Ho. It's a nice bhajan. It's called Nama Kirtana, but it's also known as Yasomati Nandana. Can we try that one? You can put it up on the screen for those who need. It's called Nama Kirtana. Let's see, we have a mridanga player? Okay, good. It takes some time, huh? Mm. Shall I begin? Yasomati Nandana Brajavara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Yasomati Nandana Brajavara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Gopi Paranandanam Adhanam Manoharam Gopi Paranandanam Adhanam Manoharam Kaliya Ramana Vidhana Kaliya Dhammana Vidhana Hey Hamala Harinam Ami Avilasam. Hamara Hari Ram, Ami Avilasam. Hipina Purdandara, Navinandagara Bhagavam. Evam Sivadhana Subhasam. Hey, Bhajana Phalan, Surakula Nasana. Hey, Bhajana Phalan, Surakula Nasana. Nanda Gorana Rakoha. Hey, Nanda Gorana Rakoha. Hey, Govinda Madhava Navanita Thathara. Govinda Madhava Navanita Thathara. Sundarananda Gopala. Hey, Sundarananda Gopala. Hey, oh, Jamuna Tapatara Gopila Sanohara. Jamuna Tapatara Gopila Sanohara. Hey, Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya. Hey, Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya. Hey, Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara. Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara. Bhakti Vinodasaya. Hey, Shila Bhakti Vinodasaya. Oh, Yasomati Nandana Rajavara Nagara Gokula Ranjana. Hey, Amala Harinam Ami Avilasam. Govinda Madhava Navanita Thathara. Sri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Govinda Madhava, Ramanita, Taskara. Govinda Madhava, Ramanita, Taskara. Shri Radha Vallabha, Vrindavana, Natapara. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nithai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jai Gauranitai. Jai Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Shri Radhe Ayam. Jaya Jagannath, Jagannath, Baladev Jai Subhadra. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jai, Prabhupada. Nithai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol, Jai. Yasomati Nandana, Brajavarana, Gara, Gokula Ranjana. Krishna. Kana. His mother calls him, Kana. He doesn't come. Doesn't like to eat. He wants to play. Okay, so we're going to have an anatomy lesson today. Okay. You think I'm kidding? Well, you hear the purport. It's all about anatomy. Anyway, Krishna consciousness includes anatomy too also. Okay, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 2, Chapter 10, Verse 31. The Bhagavatam is the answers to all questions. So is there translation also? I mean, for my class.
Yes. It's going on parallel.
It's happening automatic. Okay. Tvakarma masa rudiraha. Medo majasti daivataha. Bhumyap tejo maya sapta. Prano vyomam bhu vayubhi. Tvakarma mamsa vudira. Medo majasti daivataha. Bhumyap tejo maya sapta. Prano vyomam bhu vayubha. Vayubhi. Tvam karmam mamsa rudira Medo majasti daivataha Bhumyaptejo maya sapta Prano vyomambu vayubhihi. Ladies? Anyone else? The thin layer on the skin. Karma. Skin. Mamsa. Flesh. Rudira. Blood. Meda. Fat. Maja. Marrow. Asti. Bone. Daivataha. Elements. Bhumi. Earth. Up. Water. Teja. Fire. Maya. Predominating. Sapta. 7. Prana. Breathing air. Vyoma. Sky. Ambu. Water. Vayubhihi. By the air. Translation. The 7 elements of the body, namely the thin layer on the skin itself, the flesh, blood, fat, marrow, and bone, are all made of earth, water, and fire, whereas the life breath is produced by the sky, water, and air. Okay. 101. Okay. Purport. The construction of the whole material world is predominantly made by 3 elements, namely earth, water, and fire. But the living force is produced by sky, air, and water. So water is the common element in both the gross and subtle forms of the material creation. And it should be noted herein that due to necessity, water, being most prominent in the material creation, is the principal element of the 5 elements. This material body is thus an embodiment of the 5 elements, and the gross manifestation is perceived because of 3, namely earth, water, and fire. Sensations of touch are perceived due to the thin layer on the skin, and bone is as good as hard stone. The breathing air of life is produced of sky, air, and water, and therefore open air, regular bath, and ample space in which to live are favorable for healthy vitality. fresh produce from the earth like grains and vegetables, as well as fresh water and heat, is good for the upkeep of the body. Sarira Vidya Jal Jatendriya. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong mantra. Okay. Om Gyan Timirandasya Ganajana Salakaya Chaksu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvasesa Sunyavadi Pastyatya De Satarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Pevacha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Describing how the different bodily sections are made up of the different 5 elements. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhumira Panalo Bayu Kamana Buddha Evacha Ahankar iti ame bina prakriti astada. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego make up my separated energies. And then he goes on to explain in the next verse, but there's another energy which is my direct energy, which is the spiritual energy, or the living entities who are living in the material world. They are made of spiritual. So we are surrounded by material energy, but material energy has no life. Material energy is called jada. Jada means dead, or with lifeless. But what makes everything move or happen is the spiritual energy. Material energy is seeable, at least on the gross level, and the subtle material energy which we can see by the actions. We can see, well, we can't see the mind, but we can see someone is thinking and someone is speaking based on that, so we can understand that's the action of the mind. So by the symptoms of the mind, we can perceive there is a subtle energy. And then the sense of discrimination is the intelligence to decide whether to do or not do, or to understand things in its principle. That's intelligence. And the identity with the body is called ahankara, or false ego. These are the subtle aspects of the material energy. But we are different from that. We are pure spiritual energy, but we're encased in this material energy. So it's like being in jail. It's like being encumbered by a foreign material that in one sense has no life itself, but is given life simply by the presence of the spiritual energy. So we give life to matter because we are the energy source. So in this material existence, people in general try to find happiness by manipulating the external material energies. So they're always doing something to try to make their situation more favorable, to enjoy more, or to push back the sufferings that they are accompanied by. Manipulating with the material energy. But Krishna says that material energy is not manipulated by one. One can manipulate it, but one cannot change the result, as it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, 5th chapter, verse number 18. Tasyaito hetu prabhateya dakovita na labhyate tad mamata. labhyate dukkha anya sukham kalena sarvatra gambira ramhasa. Yeah. So the second half of the verse, the first part says, one who is actually intelligent and philosophically inclined does not try for any position anywhere within the material arrangement, because they can understand it's all temporary and full of what we say kleshas. Kleshas means those things that cause disturbance upon the living entity. In other words, suffering. But the second half of the verse is really quite interesting, that it says that as nobody wants suffering, but it comes of its own accord. Nobody plans to be miserable, right? You get up in the morning, you think, you're making your plans and you're hoping to have a good day. We also say that, have a good day. But no one gets up in the morning and says, boy, today I'm going to be really miserable. I'm going to plan my day so I can get as much misery as available. Nobody thinks like that, but it comes. And sometimes it comes in the form of calamities, really disasters. And then the verse goes on to explain that just as your misery will come without planning, your happiness will also come in the same way, without planning. But people plan for happiness, or try to make happiness come, and they try to push back the calamities by making all kinds of programs to avoid suffering. But this is a waste of time, because these things will happen automatically. Just like even if one changes one's position in the material world to improve their happiness and push down their suffering. For instance, I'll use the example in the Western countries, many of the countries are very cold. Here in India, you get cold for about 1 month a year, right? And it's like it comes and goes so fast. Nobody has any, what we call central heating in their house, right? You buy a heater, you put it, you turn it on for 1 month and put it in the closet till next year. So, you don't have to worry about so much unless you live in, the Himalayas, then it's a little different. But in general, in Western countries, the seasons change and there's equal amounts of warm weather and cold weather. So people will think, well, I want to avoid the cold weather, so I'll go live in a section of the world where it's mostly warm. So like for instance, in the United States, the southern parts of the United States, it's mostly warm all year round, but there is some coolness. But thinking that they can become more successful in becoming happy, pushing back the suffering. But it's not possible. Even if they do that, the suffering that they're automatically due by their activities in this world will come in another form. So you can change how your suffering comes, but you can't change the amount of suffering. You can change how your material happiness comes, but you can't change the amount. It's fixed. Karma, daivana, trena. When one is born, you get so much happiness and you get so much distress. So you think, wow, then what do I do? And then you take shelter of that energy which is above happiness and distress, and that is Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. And then one is freed from the suffering of the material energy. Why? Because on the spiritual platform, which is above the material platform, there is only enjoyment. There's only happiness. Because the spiritual energy is the direct energy which injects the soul with its actual nature. Because the soul is by nature happy. And one can experience happiness even within the body and mind through connecting with the spiritual energy. And then whatever happiness and distress is due to one may come or may not come by the arrangements of higher powers. But devotees don't worry about happiness and distress. They just fix their time and attention in developing their Krishna consciousness. and they don't make plans or big plans to improve their happiness or their stress. They simply serve the Lord, and they know by serving the Lord, they'll become happy. It's automatically, because he's one of the names of Krishna is called Rangakara. Rangakara means he's always joyful. He's happy. And so if we connect with Krishna, we also get that same experience of happiness, and that comes through devotional service. So, but sometimes we see even devotees are like enthusiastic to manipulate the material energy. But what can you do? You push it one way, it goes back the other way. And material energy is not manipulated by the living entities. Of course, we take care. Just like here, we're hearing about how the body is actually energized. So Prabhupada said, by living in an open space, try that in India, unless you go way out into the, the regions where there's nobody. Everybody is crowded in. So open space, ample space, regular bath, keeping clean. Prabhupada said at least 2 baths a day, one in the morning, one later on in the day, twice a day. Lord Chaitanya used to take 3 baths a day. And what else? He said, one more thing, fresh produce from the earth, like grains and vegetables. So gives a very simplified explanation of how to maintain health. And maintaining health is important in Krishna consciousness. Why? Because it facilitates your enthusiasm in your service. You can do service. Just like Prabhupada talked a lot about health in his lectures. He gave more than 900 statements about different things that one can do to improve their health, and how one should live to avoid becoming sick. And Prabhupada encouraged his devotees also, take care of your health, because then you can serve Krishna nicely. And then he would write, when he would write his letters, he would always sign it, hope this meets you in the best of health, your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Every letter. He always was giving blessings for good health to his devotees. And he was very enthusiastic to do something when he saw the devotees were sick. There was one time when Prabhupada was sitting, he was on his Vyasasana in Mayapur, and it was Guru Puja going on. And devotees were coming up and offering flowers, the kirtan was going on. And there was one devotee, he came, and he offered the flower, and Prabhupada noticed on his leg there was a pretty sizable cut on his leg. Prabhupada called him over. He said, you getting any medicine for that? Of course, the boy wasn't, but he said yes anyway, because he didn't want to disturb Prabhupada. So Prabhupada could understand he wasn't taking care of it. So Prabhupada, Prabhupada's getting Guru Puja. Kirtan's going on, people are jumping up and down, and Prabhupada calls his secretary over, give me a pencil and paper. And he writes down this medicine formula. He folds it up, he says, here, go to the shop and get this medicine. Right in the middle of Guru Puja. So, Prabhupada was like that. And there were many other similar incidents where Prabhupada really took personal concern with the devotees' health. Why? He's there to give us transcendental knowledge and spiritual guidance, but he's also concerned that devotees take care of your health. So, what destroys health, or what causes us to get sick? 3 things, Prabhupada said. Overeating, uncleanliness, and anxiety, which is the big one. So if you're happy, you won't get sick so much. So try to stay happy, and that's Krishna consciousness. But, also follow these basic hygienic remedies so we can do nice service. Because when we get sick, what happens? Then somebody has to take care of us also. And then that's an extra burden for someone else. So I remember in the old days when in Krishna consciousness, when the devotees would get sick, we would say, oh, he's in Maya. Because Prabhupada said, if you're sick, you're in Maya. So everybody, and the poor guy is in the room suffering, and everybody's telling me he's in Maya, you know. I know, but do something. So it wasn't very, profitable in those days to get sick because nobody cared. Oh, he can't do his service, we have to find somebody else. Let him get a doctor or something. But Prabhupada was really caring about the devotees like that. There are many, many other incidents. I'll tell you one more story. When Prabhupada just came back from India, and he had one of his female disciples with him. They were just landed in Paris, France. And Prabhupada came to the temple. And the girl, she got really sick in India. I don't remember what it was. So she went immediately to the hospital when she got back to Paris. And Prabhupada sat on the Vyasasana, and he welcomed the devotees. They welcomed him. And he said, let's all go and see your god sister. So he got off the Vyasasana, and everybody came and went to see. So when someone gets sick, it becomes a concern for the rest of the devotees to do something to inspire that devotee, or even just like sometimes you get sick and your friends say, well, I got this medicine, I got this medicine. Everybody's got a medicine for you, right? Whether it works or not, it doesn't matter, but it's medicine. Because people care, so it might work for you. So this idea of when devotees get sick, we should also care for them and treat them very nicely and make sure they get whatever they need to get their health back like that. Prabhupada was very keen about that. But here it talks about how to live in such a way that one can maintain good health. And health is wealth. They say if you lose your money, you lose nothing. If you lose your health, you lose something. And if you lose Krishna, everything's lost. So health has some importance in keeping proper health. And that is three things: fresh air, exercise, and proper diet. Not too much, not too little. Even on the Sunday feast, which is the hardest time. But they say if you overeat once in a while, it's not so bad, but don't make it a regular habit because it will take down your health after some time. It puts pressure on the body unnaturally. Prabhupada said he causes indigestion, and after a while there's different ailments that may arise. So it's important to keep good health because we want to be able to give the maximum amount of time and energy so we can serve, the mission of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya by building this temple and also by performing various services. So it's important that we take care. A lot of times we see devotees are a little neglectful of their health and they push everything aside and they don't take care of their health, and after a while things change. So it's important. So this particular verse and purport is really talking about that we are something different than this external energy which we're surrounded by in this body. So the body is necessary to be used in the service of the Lord. Therefore Prabhupada said it's not your body. Sometimes we think, my body, but when did it become yours? It was given to you by your parents, who also received their bodies in the same way. So there's something that is given to you belongs to somebody else. It's mentioned also in the where is it? It's in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that who does your body belong to? Your parents? Does it belong to the guy you work for? Does it belong to what else? There's a whole series of different persons within society that have some connection with our body. But actually the body belongs to the Supreme Lord because it's made out of the elements created by the Supreme Lord. And therefore it's Krishna's body in that sense. And it must be taken care of nicely so we can use it for... And you can live a very healthy and long life if you take care of yourself really nicely. Health is also not simply done through medicine and food and proper air. Health is also maintained nicely by chanting Hare Krishna. Enechi asaudi maya nasi baralagi harinama mahamantra lao tugi. Ausaudi. Ausaudi means medicine. So what is that medicine chanting Hare Krishna? Sometimes you feel, you're feeling a little depressed or you're feeling even physically sick, you start chanting nicely. You see that when you energize the soul through the chanting of the holy name, it also energizes the body like that. So keeping good health means chanting nicely also every day. That will also improve the quality of your health. So, of course, health is important, but more important is using our time and energy to serve the Lord in different ways. And so the living entity is surrounded by this external energy, which is foreign to its existence, because we are not meant to associate with matter. Actually, we don't touch matter. Matter is never touched by the living entity. Although we are in this body, the soul and matter, the body itself, never connect with each other. They're like, it's almost like water and oil. When you put water and oil together, automatically, because of the nature of their composition, they will automatically separate. So in the same way, we are connected to this material energy through the mind. When the mind identifies with the external energy, we make that connection. And then the mind directs the senses, the intelligence in different activities, and we become locked up by this material energy, which has nothing to do with us. It's like it's something to be used and not to be used by. So as spiritual beings, we are superior to the material energy, but because we identify with the material energy in some form, that material energy controls us. It controls us. So we have to break that identity or that control by identifying ourselves with our actual existence, which is transcendental or spiritual. And that comes by devotional service. Then one can somehow or other push back the effects of the material energy, although we are directly connected with it. Prabhupada tells that when one develops strong mind, you get strong mind by two things: by reading scriptures, by chanting Hare Krishna, and by giving up sense gratification. Then mind becomes very strong. Prabhupada talks about even in the material world, many great materialists had such strong minds that they could withstand tremendous amounts of pain and not be disturbed by that. Prabhupada uses the example of Stalin, the Russian despot. He was one of the most cruelest leaders in the history of the world. But one time he had to have an operation, and so they wanted to give him an anesthesia for the operation. He said, "No, I want to watch." So they let him. So he watched himself under the operation, and he wasn't so much disturbed by what was happening. Strong mind, very strong mind. So we can also be unaffected by the movements of this material energy if we make our consciousness fixed in Krishna. When you're fixed in Krishna, you're not connected to this material world. The connection is simply the identification. And when the identification is broken through the process of bhakti, then we're connected with Krishna and the spiritual energy, Daivi Shakti, no more the apara or the parashakti, the inferior energy. And then we are controlled by Krishna and devotional service. And that brings us out of this struggle in this material world. And it's easy. It's not so hard. At least it's easy in explanations anyway. But in practice, it takes some effort like that to get free from the influence of this material energy. Otherwise, that influence will cause us to think in the wrong way, to act in the wrong way, to perform, to desire in the wrong way. So, here. So everything centers around really connecting with Krishna in devotional service. And that's the ultimate solution to all problems. Prabhupada said, when you're Krishna conscious, you don't have any problems. Because problems don't exist on the spiritual platform, they exist on the material platform. So by raising our consciousness to the spiritual platform, then all problems go away. The problem is we are connected with the wrong energy, and that's the problem. That's the foundation for how all problems develop, like that. So this verse is a little, I mean, it's all about blood, flesh, bones, marrow. People think, oh, this body is so nice. Well, what is it made out of? Take a look. Blood, very nice. Flesh, bone, marrow, mucus, bile, air, other nice things too. What are so many other nice things. But then they say, oh, look at that lady, she's so beautiful. Or look at that guy, he's so handsome. But it's that little layer of skin that's over to all of this other stuff that's underneath. Hare Krishna. And if you want to take it a step farther, if you take a microscope and you look at the skin, Hare Krishna, you're going to see something that is really surprising. Because in order for the skin to stay fresh, there are these microscopic worms that are there within the skin, and they eat up the bacteria and keeps the skin fresh. So if you look under a microscope at your skin, you'll see a whole bunch of little worms running around. Hare Krishna. Wow, she's so beautiful. She's got more worms than that other lady. We look in the mirror, we think, yes. Yes, I'm ready for darshan. So that's Krishna's joke. So this is the reality of the material existence. It presents itself as something it is not, and that is called Maya. It's the illusion of so-called happiness and the illusion of we're not seeing actually what really exists in this material world. If you would see in this atmosphere here, this air is full of bacteria, germs. There are millions of germs in this room. We can't even see them. They're microscopic. So this whole world is polluted. It's not a nice place. It's just so contaminated. It's actually a hospital. It's full of the disease. When you go into the hospital to get some cure, you're coming into an area that is full of contamination and sickness. So this is a hospital for the soul, so the soul can get cured of all of this and go back. And Prabhupada said, there's two cures. Just like when if you're sick and you go to the hospital, you get two things. You get a new diet or a different diet, and you get some medicine. So what is that diet? Krishna Prasad. And what is that medicine? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. That's the Asaudi, the medicine for curing all ails and diseases, to chant the holy names of the Lord. And not just, we say, well, we have to chant 16 rounds. But 16 rounds is minimum. When Prabhupada started the movement, he said 64. But the devotees complained and said, we don't have enough time, Prabhupada, to chant 64. We got other things to do. Prabhupada said, all right, 32. And they still complained. So Prabhupada said 16 and no less. Like that. So by chanting every day, we actually develop a taste for chanting. And when that taste develops, then we want to chant more and more. So Prabhupada would say 16 rounds on beads, innumerable rounds off the beads. In other words, chant always. If you're always connected with Krishna through the sound of his holy name, you're free from anything in this material world. The material world can't touch you simply by the holy name. And that's a fact. And that's a fact. That Prabhupada even talks about that you may be undergoing some suffering, some pain, but if you chant Hare Krishna, actually that pain is not being felt, although the body will be undergoing some difficulty, but your experience will be different. It'll be free. That's the power of the holy name, but that's material. That's external, of course. The real power is that it raises our consciousness to the spiritual level, where we can develop our relationship with Krishna, which is the goal of life. Prema Pumartha Mahan, to develop love for Krishna. So that holy name is so important. And the scriptures, the spiritual masters, the Lord himself, emphasizes the importance of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And if you make that your prime duty in your day-to-day life, you'll always be nicely situated in Krishna consciousness, and you'll be happy. You'll always be happy. Because we used to say, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Not hippie, but happy. Happy. Hippie. We changed hippies into happies, and it was the beginning of the movement. So to be happy, what is that happiness? That one is no longer an anxiety, and therefore, you're no longer an anxiety, you're healthy. Because anxiety is the biggest cause of ill health. And so chanting, yes, that chant and be happy. But that means to make the chanting of the holy name the priority in our day-to-day life. Always put the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra first. And don't join the late night japa club. There's a lot of people in that club and they wish they weren't. It's not a volunteer club, but you get pushed into it simply by wrong arrangements in life. So try to finish nicely your 16 rounds as early as possible. And you'll see, if you do that regularly, chant early, finish your rounds before breakfast, you'll see a qualitative increase in your Krishna consciousness. It'll be very noticeable how your Krishna consciousness is really starting to expand nicely. It's all based on chanting early, which gives us the consciousness by which we can accept whatever Krishna throws at us or whatever Maya throws at us during the day. We're prepared if we have our rounds chanted. If we don't have our rounds chanted, Prabhupada said, Maya can attack you at any moment if you haven't finished your 16 rounds. But by finishing 16 rounds, of course we want to do it nicely and not just get it done, then you're protected. Why? Because you're fulfilling the order of the spiritual master. And simply by doing that, you get special mercy like that. So this chanting, although we say 16 rounds a day, really, if you hear Srila Prabhupada's talks, he speaks about early rounds, always early rounds. And he would say, if you chant any rounds you chant before Mangalarti are worth 4 rounds after Mangalarti in spiritual potency. That's a direct statement. So how early? So early as is possible. And that way you're really, really energized throughout the day, and you're happy like that. If you chant nicely, it's not that because we're chanting early we should rush so we can finish it. No. That's another way to not really experience the mercy of the holy name. We should chant carefully, with attention, with clarity of pronunciation. That's also important. Not like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, okay, that was a good round. Boy, 3 minutes, yeah. I must be a Mahabhagavat. But not like that. We used to say there's 3 kinds of, ajapas. There's actually more, but there's 3 main ones. One is called radar japa. You know what radar japa is? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Oh, she wore that sari yesterday. Yes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Making sure you scan the environment. And then there's Jibber Japa. You know what Jibber Japa is? Hare Krishna, Hare... Yeah, really? That happened? Oh, no, kid. Really? Tell me about it. Okay, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh, yeah. Okay, wow. Got any more good news? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram. So, carrying on conversations and throwing in the holy name in between somewhere. And then there's Dive Bomber Japa. You know what Dive Bomber Japa? Ha! Ha! You see the brahmacharis, they get ready. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Ram. Boy, my rounds are really slow today. It's called Dive Bomber Japa. Try to avoid that one also. So, to perfect your japa, there's a lot of different things you have to avoid, which come by way of the environment and sometimes by the association also. So, but if we keep our chanting really nice, first, foremost, and then everything will be nice. We'll understand the Shastras easier. We'll be able to be more fixed in our day-to-day service, and we'll be more enthusiastic in our service, because then the holy name actually energizes your consciousness where you actually feel enthusiastic. I want to do more service. I want to do better service. That all comes from chanting also. Like that. Okay, so we can stop here and see if there's any comments, questions, like that. Mm-hmm.
Hare Krishna Maharaj Ji. How to determine how much exercise is sufficient? Because if we do...
Exercise?
How much exercise is sufficient? Because...
Physical exercise.
How much is sufficient? Because if we do too much...
Well,
then
the question is, how do we determine how much physical exercise is necessary? Well, that may be different from person to person. But there should be something there. The best physical exercise is walking. Walking, not running. Walking is good. Well, if you walk, my doctor used to tell me walk 2 or 3 miles a day. So, but that may be different from person to person. But walking is good exercise. I mean, there's devotees who do yoga in order to get some kind of, energy. Yoga is also good. They do that in some of our temples. They have yoga sessions for the brahmacharis, because the brahmacharis, they need some energy because they eat too much prasadam. That's okay. It's what I used to do that too. Now I want to eat less, but they say, "Hey Maharaj, I got something else for you to eat." Oh, really? What? And they bring in another, part 2 of the feast, Can you try this? I made it for you. Oh. Okay. That's another thing. Anyway, so exercise, you have to determine. In fresh air, I mean, that might be hard in certain places in the environment to find fresh air. I mean, in India, especially in Pune, the air is not so fresh. I was in Mumbai a couple of years ago, and they have this, what is called the air measurement index. It's called the air pollution index. Yeah. So I think if it's 20, the number 20, it's normal. It goes up to 100, it's considered to be dangerous. When I was in Mumbai, it was 540. Really. The sun was out and you couldn't see it. It looked like some haze, in the sky, The pollution is so bad. And then Delhi's worse. I was in Delhi and I was staying at one person's house, and they had the family was there, and there was a young girl, and she was a school-age girl. She was going to high school. So it was the middle of the week, and she was home. I said, "Why aren't you going to school today?" She said, "Well, there's no school because the air is so bad they closed the schools." No, it was like that. So we have to be careful. I don't want to get into the political aspect of this, but the point is that, we should try to get fresh air as much as we can. It's important. You might have to sometimes go into an area and take a walk where the air is somewhat free from all of this carbon monoxide, like that. Or you can even try to do it in a more created environment, if you can do that also. I mean, in Japan, the air was so bad, they were selling fresh air. You go to a machine, you put some coins in there, and then you get this little mask, you put it on, and you can breathe fresh air for 5 minutes. It was so bad. And the Philippines, I mean, in Manila, oh my God, it was so bad. So yeah, this present civilization with all of these motor vehicles are just destroying people's health. So we have to be diligent and do things to somehow or other counteract that. So walking was good. Try to get some fresh air, and try to eat. Eat simple. Eat food that's tasty but simple. Of course, we eat prasadam, and prasadam is transcendental, but not too much and not too rich. If you're attached to eating rich food, you're going to have a lot of problems physically. Yeah. Like that. So yeah, proper diet, proper exercise, fresh air, and chanting and dancing. When someone asked Prabhupada, because there's one verse in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, "One who is temperate in eating, sleeping, working, and recreation can mitigate all pains by performing the yoga system." So one devotee asked, "Well, what is this, recreation?" Prabhupada said, "Dancing." Dancing. He said, "That's our recreation." So we should dance. Some of us, we like just to, kind of like just do that. But you can jump up and down a little bit. Dancing is good. It's also a transcendental experience because it pleases Krishna when Lord Chaitanya sees you have Gaur Nitai deities here. If you're dancing, you're pleasing Gaur Nitai very much. like that. So then it's also good exercise. Aside from that, yeah. Okay, does that help a little?
Dancing is for Lord's pleasure, right? So how can we classify it under recreation?
That's what Prabhupada said.
But
He
like
said
recreation
if you want, our recreation is spiritual. Spiritual recreation. So dancing.
Okay.
Try it. Let me know how it goes. No, it's when you're dancing, you're moving your body this way and that way.
Maharaj, thank you very much for the amazing class. Maharaj, one thing I have noticed over the years, that when we do fault finding, all of our consciousness gets polluted. And
When we
japa,
do what?
fault finding.
Fault finding, yeah.
Maharaj, some practical tips to avoid.
Yeah, well, there's two things. One is don't do it. But if you tell that to some people, it's not possible because they have that certain nature. So if you want to find fault with yourself. Yeah, and then you'll make a lot of progress. Yeah, I'm serious, for finding fault. Look inside and see what are your faults, and then you can see what needs to be corrected. But there's another formula which is mentioned in the Shastras, that when you see the faults of others, also look immediately for their good qualities, because people have both. So if you see the faults or the fault disturbs you, just look for their good qualities and focus on that rather than that. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati really gives a very strong statement. He says, if the faults of others disturb you, look inside of yourself and see what is it about yourself that's becoming disturbed. Why is someone else's faults causing me disturbance? There's something about me. But there also are persons who are committing wrong activities which affect people in general, so that also should be curtailed or dealt with in a very Krishna conscious manner. If someone's faults are causing a lot of problems for everyone, then that's another thing. But generally, we don't worry about other people's faults. We focus on their good qualities. We focus on Krishna consciousness.
Maharaj, can we still have dancing kirtan for 10 minutes?
Dancing?
Yeah. If you can sing, then everyone can dance for 10 minutes. They'll have
He wants
appetite for breakfast, Maharaj.
He wants some exercise. Okay, so we can have...
So we all can stand up at your place. After the kirtans, we'll serve prasadam, not before that.
Should we close the questions now? Okay. All right, so we can do a little short kirtan and everyone can dance nicely. Ladies can dance in circles, hold each other's hands and dance in circles, or dance back and forth. The men can do whatever they want. I'm going to be standing up. Hare Krishna. This particular melody mantra not mantra, but this particular melody is a dancing melody. So this melody is made for dancing. So you'll find it easy to dance on this melody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna. Hey. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna. Hey. Hey. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey. Hey. Go. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna. Hey. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Jai Shri Radhe Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hey Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hey! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Jai Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hey! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Jai Shri Radhe. Ho, 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 ho. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hey Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jai Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hey! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hey, Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Whoa! Jai Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey! Oh! Hey! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Jai Gaur. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Jai Gaur. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Soft है ये.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Nitai Gaur. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Nityananda, 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 Nityananda. Hey, hey. Nityananda, 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 Nityananda. And Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Hari Bol. And Nitai, 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 Nitai Gauranga. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Jai Sati Nandana, Jai Sati Nandana. Jai Sati Nandana, Jai Sati Nandana. Nitai Gauranga, Jai Nitai Gauranga. Nitai, 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 Nitai Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Shiva Prabhupada, 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 Lord Premanante, Prabhupada ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Sisi Gaunata ki jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadramani ki jai, Vrindavan Chandra ki jai, Radha Kunja Bihari ji ki jai, Lord Premanante. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpa tu Vishya Kripa Sindhu Pe Bachati Tanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki.
Oh. चालू है ना? Please, if you want.
Signing books. So.
Maharaj saying Mahaprasade Govinde, everyone can go for prasadam.